I'm Sabrina Zainal, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Give IPTs the freedom and flexibility to foster new educational ideas, says PM. And statutory declarations no longer relevant to topple government, says Zahid Hamidi. Good morning. We begin with this story. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim wants the leadership of institutions of higher learning, IPTs, to be given the space and relaxation to spur new ideas in the country's education. The Prime Minister said the move was important to ensure IPTs in the country are capable of competing at regional and global levels, thus producing graduates who are disciplined and of high quality.
Pokoknya bagi saudara, di kalangan pemikir bangsa, harus melihat keutamaannya. Keutamaannya adalah mengangkat martabat bangsa dan negara. Keutamaannya adalah menggunakan ruang perbaiki kelemahan-kelemahan kita. Keutamaannya mendidik anak-anak kita supaya dalam 5 tahun, 10 tahun mereka bersaing dengan yakin dengan negara maju di dunia ini. Ini yang harus diberikan tumpuan.
Anwar said this at the Higher Education Ministry Strategic Discourse in Kuala Lumpur on Friday. He added that high discipline and serious efforts to gain knowledge are necessary for students in this country to be more competitive. Touching on the issue of language, the Prime Minister also stressed that although the use of Malay is prioritized in teaching and learning, IPTs should also look at the importance of improving the quality of English proficiency among students. Taking the example of Indonesia and Thailand, he said that although both countries are seen as serious in prioritizing the use of their respective mother tongues, the proficiency in English among their youth at local universities is much better than in Malaysia. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has pointed out that the implementation of the Technical Vocational and Education Training (TVET) programs earlier than the current practice, which is for Form 4 students, is still under discussion as it involves several implications. Anwar said that TVET implemented according to the current level is sufficient, as the capacity of the programs is also limited.
Laporan Kabinet Komiti setuju mereka ini selepas tiga dan tiga. Ini tidak lagi seperti sekarang tingkatan 5. Untuk dia ke bawah lagi itu memang dalam diskusi kerana ada implikasi yang lain. Tapi kalau mula selepas 3 dan 3, saya ingat permulaan untuk 1-2 tahun ini cukup memadai.
Anwar said this when responding to a question posed by a participant who suggested the need for TVET programs to be introduced earlier, starting from primary school, to increase community awareness of the potential in the field. Also present at the dialogue session was Higher Education Minister Datuk Sri Zamri Abdul Kadir. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi says statutory declarations, SDs, are no longer useful for any backdoor change of government after the introduction of the anti-hopping law in 2022. He said any decision to switch support for the Prime Minister must be made en bloc.
Soal tebuk atap ni saya fikir akuan bersumpah tidak lagi digunakan sebagai platform utama sebagaimana sebelum wujudnya Akta Anti Lompat Parti. Kini keputusan besar mesti dibuat oleh parti, di mana kalau mahu menukar, ianya mesti dibuat cara en bloc.
Speaking at a media conference, Zahid also urged the opposition to stop plotting to topple the government and wasting the people's time and attention, saying they could benefit from the initiatives of the current administration. Zahid's remarks followed speculation over the so-called Dubai move, allegedly involving talks between opposition leaders and certain government representatives during a recent visit to the United Arab Emirates, UAE. The federal court on Friday has ruled that Section 61A of the Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Anti-Smuggling of Migrants Act, ATIPSOM 2007, is constitutional. This was declared by a 5-member panel chaired by Chief Justice Tun Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat, who said the law provision does not contravene the federal constitution. Section 61A of ATIPSOM provides that sworn evidence in the form of an affidavit of a person who is smuggled into the country and repatriated is admissible as prima facie evidence. The court is satisfied that the reliability of affidavit evidence does not violate the federal constitution or prevent any individual from getting a fair trial. In the opinion of the panel, prima facie evidence can still be challenged and subject to judicial evaluation of the burden of proof and its credibility. The court's ruling came after a couple were jointly charged in Klang Sessions Court on April 12, 2019, with trafficking 3 Indonesian maids between October 2012 and March 2019. The couple pleaded not guilty. According to the charges, both the accused were charged with the common intent of trafficking 3 Indonesian women aged between 25 and 41 for forced labor in a house in Kajang. The 2023 Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM examinations slated from Monday to March 7th will go on as scheduled, although Johor is the latest state to be hit by floods. Education Minister Fadlina Sidek said it will be as per the dates planned. The SPM examination will go ahead. At a media conference on Friday, the minister said the Education Ministry would constantly collaborate with the Malaysian Examination Board and state education departments regarding flood and post-flood preparations to ensure no examination candidate is affected.
Setakat ini tidak ada masalah. Kita sudah pun ada pengalaman-pengalaman menguruskan calon-calon SPM semasa banjir. Jadi yang mungkin kalau yang susah sedikit pun kalau ada isu mereka terputus jalan akibat banjir, tapi itu pun juga kita telah mendapat sokongan dan juga bantuan daripada agensi kerajaan yang lain untuk membawa calon ini ke tempat peperiksaan.
The ministry had previously stated that 395,870 candidates have registered to sit for the 2023 SPM examination at 3,340 centres nationwide. The Malay oral test will be conducted from January 8th to 11th, the English oral test on January 17th to 23rd, the Malay and English listening tests on January 29th, and the written exam from January 30th to March 7th, while the science practical tests were carried out on December 5th to 7th. In Pulau Pinang, the State Education Department has allowed all schools in the state to conduct home-based teaching and learning, PDPR, during the scheduled 4-day water supply disruption starting January 10th. Its Deputy Director, Wan Sajiri Wan Hassan, said that Form 5 and pre-university college students would have to attend lessons at school as usual, as exams have been scheduled. The state has received approval from the Education Ministry to implement PDPR in all schools throughout the water supply disruption period in the state. A total of 590,000 water consumers are set to be affected by the disruption due to 2 major valve replacement works in Sungai Dua, Butterworth. Perbadanan Bekalan Air Pulau Pinang announced that the disruption is scheduled for 96 hours from 6 a.m. on January 10th to 6 a.m. on January 14th, which also involves other ancillary work at 22 locations throughout the state. Now, promoting menus such as Buka Puasa buffets and Ramadan sets as halal without having proper halal certification is an offence under the Trade Descriptions Act 2011. In a statement on Friday, Islamic Development Department JAKIM Director General Datuk Hakimah Muhammad Yusuf said those who intend to provide catering services during the fasting month of Ramadan are advised to obtain halal certification. Food caterers planning to offer buffet services without halal certification are urged to promptly apply for it. They can do so through JAKIM or the respective state Islamic religious councils. She added that JAKIM is ready to assist entrepreneurs to acquire halal certification.
The construction sector, an important driver of change for Malaysia. What is the significance of productivity within this sector? What measures can be taken to improve efficiency, effectiveness and overall performance within construction projects? Money Matters this week with Datuk Sri Dr. Michael Yam, champion of construction and built environment productivity nexus, this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3.
In Perak, police have confirmed the arrest of 2 individuals for their alleged involvement in the misappropriation of 9.62 million ringgit in zakat or tithe collection. The arrest followed an investigation into a company appointed as a zakat collection agent by the Perak Islamic Religious and Malay Customs Council, MAIPK. Perak Police Chief Datuk Sri Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said on Friday that a man and a woman have been detained by authorities in connection to the case. However, he did not disclose any details, including the relationship between both suspects or their backgrounds. On Thursday, Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department CCID Director Datuk Sri Ramli Muhammad Yusof revealed that a company appointed as a zakat collection agent by MAIPK is suspected of having failed to deposit zakat collection money from March to September 2023. He added that several individuals are expected to be called in to assist the police in the probe. The case is being investigated under Section 409 of the Penal Code for criminal breach of trust, or CBT. In the meantime, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has nabbed 4 people, including the CEO of a football association in a northern state, as part of a 6 million ringgit corruption probe. Magistrate Siti Nur Hidayah Nur granted a 3-day remand order for the 4 until January 7th, following an application by MACC early Friday. The 4 male suspects, aged between 40 and 60, were detained between 5 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. on Thursday at the Kedah MACC office after providing their statements. It was believed that more than 6 million ringgit was channeled into an account belonging to the Football Association. The alleged bribes were believed to have been given in exchange for assistance in securing tenders for constructing a racing circuit, as well as for managing, operating, and maintaining 5 water retention ponds in the state. The alleged offence is said to have taken place in 2020. MACC Investigation Division Senior Director Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Hashim confirmed the arrests and said the case is being investigated under Section 16A(b) of the MACC Act. In other news, the Immigration Department has busted an extensive online gambling syndicate masterminded by Chinese nationals using Malaysia as its central hub for illegal activities. Immigration Department Deputy Director General for Operations, Jafri Mbok Taha, said the syndicate is believed to have been operating for 6 months, generating approximately 100,000 ringgit per day and up to 3 million ringgit per month. The syndicate targeted customers from Australia, Hong Kong, and China. Among those apprehended were a 39-year-old Chinese male believed to be the syndicate's leader and 8 Chinese males aged between 25 and 39 who were acting as online gambling operators. 5 local males and 1 local female aged 19 to 25 who were at the premises were also picked up to assist in investigations. 7 of those detained possessed social visit passes and 2 held special passes to stay in the country. The operation covered the areas of Bangsar, Kuala Lumpur, and Ampang Selangor. Among the evidence seized were 18,000 ringgit in cash, 9 Chinese passports, 11 monitors, 5 computers, 15 laptops, 33 mobile phones, 6 Wi-Fi routers, and a Toyota Alphard vehicle. The special operation was conducted based on complaints and 2 weeks of intelligence gathered by the Immigration Department. The syndicate's modus operandi involved indiscriminately promoting its services through WhatsApp. A probe is being conducted under the Immigration Act 1959-1963, Passport Act 1966, and Immigration Regulations 1963. We're going for a short break, but when we return, 4 dead, scores injured in Indonesia train collision. We're back with news from the foreign front. Mass bombardment continued across the Gaza Strip as the Zionist regime launched air, land, and sea attacks on more than 100 targets. Palestinian hospital officials said some 162 people were killed in the past 24 hours as Israel intensified their attacks on densely populated Al-Maghazi, Al-Bureij, and Al-Nuseirat in the center of the coastal strip. The strikes had also flattened a home in an area of southern Gaza, killing at least 12 people, where most of them were children. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Europe's top diplomat Josep Borrell embarked on a new diplomatic effort to stop the spillover of the conflict in Gaza to the Israeli-occupied West Bank, Lebanon, and Red Sea shipping lanes. At least 22,600 Palestinians were killed and 57,910 wounded since the start of the Zionist rampage. Meanwhile, a Canadian ophthalmologist at the European Hospital in Khan Yunis described that the human tragedy is huge in Gaza after he arrived to the Strip along with a team of 7 doctors to help a weary Palestinian medical staff. The team of U.S. and Canadian doctors are part of a medical delegation from Rama Worldwide, a U.S. nonprofit organization, and will be performing complex surgical operations on wounded Palestinians.
The human tragedy is so huge here. I don't think people have an idea of how tragic this is unless you actually come and see for it yourself. How much suffering everybody is going through, whether it's the people coming in on a daily basis, almost every hour someone's coming in with an explosive injury or a serious injury. People are losing their legs, their eyes, their lives. And the healthcare workers are working here 24 hours every single day with nothing, with no resources, nothing, no medications, anesthetics, everything is out. So it's just a very horrible time.
North Korea fired more than 200 artillery rounds on Friday near a disputed maritime border with South Korea in another escalation of tension between the rivals, prompting the South to take corresponding action with live fire drills. The exchange led residents of Yeonpyeong and Baekneung, 2 remote South Korean islands, to evacuate to bomb shelters at the instruction of the South's military before it fired live rounds towards the disputed Northern Limit Line border. Now, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, however, said the incident caused no civilian or military damage in the South, but added that the act threatens the peace on the Korean peninsula. In Indonesia, at least 4 people were killed while 42 others were left injured when 2 trains carrying hundreds of passengers collided on Friday. According to authorities, the 6:03 a.m. accident occurred when a long-distance train from Surabaya collided with a commuter train near Bandung, the provincial capital. The 4 dead were crew members, while no fatalities have been reported among the nearly 500 passengers on board. All the passengers have been evacuated, with those injured taken to local hospitals. The cause of the crash is not immediately clear. Over in the U.S., a teenager armed with a shotgun and a handgun opened fire at a high school in the state of Iowa, killing a 6th grader and injuring 5 others. The shooting occurred just after 7:30 a.m. local time on Thursday at the Perry High School. According to authorities, the suspect, identified as 17-year-old Dylan Butler, was found dead by responding officers with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police had also discovered an improvised explosive device when searching the high school. In the meantime, the motive of the shooting is still being investigated. Zverev. Team Germany defeated Greece with a 2-1 win to book their spot in the United Cup semi-finals. World number 8 Maria Sakkari opened the night with a clinical win over former number 1 Angelique Kerber, winning 6-love, 6-3 to give Greece the lead. Alexander Zverev drew level with a 6-4, 6-4 win over Stefanos Tsitsipas. Zverev then teamed with Laura Sigmund to defeat Sakkari and Petros Tsitsipas 6-3, 6-3 to win the decisive mixed doubles rubber. The victory means Germany will face Australia in the semi-finals. Still on tennis, the Brisbane International. World number 8 Holger Rune defeated Australia's James Duckworth to book his spot in the semi-finals. The top seed won the first set, looking very comfortable going into the second. However, the homeboy managed to force a tie-break to test the 20-year-old. Rune, however, fought harder and managed to close the match with a 6-2, 7-6 win. The Dane will face Roman Safiullin next. In another match, second seed Grigor Dimitrov also booked his spot in the last four with a straight sets win against Rinky Hijikata. The Bulgarian faced no trouble defeating Hijikata 6-1, 6-4 to reach his fifth semi-final. The 2017 champion will play Jordan Thompson in the next match. In the women's category, former world number 1 Victoria Azarenka battled past Yelena Ostapenko in 3 sets, 6-3, 3-6, 7-5 to reach her fifth semi-final. The 34-year-old will next face top seed Aryna Sabalenka. Hundreds of foreigners detained in Kelantan's mini Dhaka raid. Don't go away. In Kelantan, 4 children were among nearly 300 undocumented foreigners caught by state enforcement agencies in a special operation codenamed Ops Kutip carried out in the town area on Friday. The operation, in an area now referred to as Kelantan's Mini Dhaka, was jointly carried out between the Immigration Department, the police and Kota Baru Municipal Council. The operation covered Kota Baru areas, which included Jalan Hilir Pasar and Jalan Datuk Pati, involving some 100 officers. The children, aged between 2 and 4, all Myanmar nationals, were brought by their fathers to shop at a sundry store on Jalan Pasir Hilir when they were caught. Besides the Myanmar nationals, the other foreigners who were arrested in the 2-hour operation, which ended at 11:30 a.m., were from Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. The operation was headed by Kelantan Immigration Deputy Director for Management Nik Akhtarul Haq Nik Abdurrahman. A total of 238 foreigners were arrested and believed to have committed offences under the Immigration Act 1959-1963. Among the offences, he said, were entering Malaysia without valid travel documents, overstaying, and others. It is learnt that the area was among the main hotspots in Kelantan for foreigners to gather during weekends. The raids were held following several video clips showing Kelantan's Mini Dhaka, which went viral recently. In Negeri Sembilan, 2 brothers have been remanded until January 11th by the Seremban Magistrates Court in connection with the murder of a senior citizen in Rantau. The siblings were issued the 7-day remand order by Magistrate Fairuz Shuhada Amran on Friday to assist police investigations into the case. Seremban Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Arifai Tarawi said that both suspects were separately arrested near the crime scene and at the Rantau police station on the same day as the murder. Authorities have yet to determine the motive behind the incident and were investigating the case under Section 302 of the Penal Code. It was reported that a 74-year-old man was found stabbed to death by his neighbor at 10 a.m. on Thursday. The neighbor claimed to have heard shouting from the victim's house earlier, around midnight, but only went to check in the morning before discovering the body and alerting the police. In Terengganu, a 16-year-old boy was found drowned in a swampy area near Rantau Abang Beach in Dungun on Friday. District Fire and Rescue Station Chief Sharizal Shamsuddin said the victim was identified as Muhammad Hazri Izani Abdullah, who is a student at SMK Complex Rantau Abang. Now, the victim's body was found at 6:10 p.m. by the Water Rescue Team, PPDA, at a depth of 4 meters. His body was then handed over to the police for further action. It was reported that the teenager had been swept away by strong currents while swimming with his 3 friends in the area. As we conclude this edition of Nightline, let's take a look as paleontologists discover a new species of long-necked, duck-beaked dinosaurs that went extinct 90 million years ago in Patagonia. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.